Hello there, my name is Paul Jenkins and I'm a project manager with EmpathyLab, and I have the immense pleasure this afternoon of being able to introduce the ACT section of the Empathy Day Live programme. Now, social action is one of the most important parts of anybody's empathy journey, and we've been working with schools in Wales over the last 2 years or so to help develop their empathy skills, give them extra listening and communication skills, help them explore their feelings, and of course explore lots and lots of empathy-rich texts. Now, empathy is mentioned in the new Welsh curriculum a massive 35 times, which makes it an integral part of any child's education. And as I say, we've been working with lots of schools across the whole of Wales to develop those empathy skills in the last 2 years. What you're about to see is an interaction between some schools we are working with in Pembrokeshire and the amazing author of The Undefeated, Kwame Alexander. They talk to him about race, about prejudice, and about the reasons that he wrote The Undefeated in the first place. He'll be getting questions from Milford Haven School, Henry Tudor School, Penarth School, and Pembroke Dock Community School. We hope you enjoy.
During our recent topic of Don't Hate, Educate, we learned a lot about empathy, prejudice and racism. When you wrote The Undefeated, what impact did you hope it would have on society?
It's a good question. I wrote The Undefeated for my daughter. She was born in 2008, the same year that Barack Obama was elected president of the United States of America. So I wanted to write her a poem to show her the journey of Africans who were kidnapped and taken from Africa and brought to the Americas to become enslaved.
As part of our Empathy Lab work, we have been learning about prejudice, and we learned about Barack Obama being the first Black president of the USA. What should a leader have as a empathy resolution to help with stopping prejudice?
Think, how cool would the world be if our politicians and the people in power, if they read books? Think about it. No, here's what I'm saying. If they all read children's books help young people imagine a better world. Children's books inspire and entertain, engage and empower. Imagine if some of our leaders read some of those books that were inspirational and uplifting and empowering and entertaining. They would be a whole lot better. If I were president, resolution number 1, everybody reads The Undefeated. Everybody reads Mallory Blackman. Everybody reads. Because here's the cool thing. When you read, you imagine. You can imagine what someone else thinks, feels, does, is, and we become more empathetic.
In our first term of secondary school, we thought about racism and equality during our health and well-being time. When you wrote The Undefeated, would be the first changes you would like to see in the way we learn in school today?
Well, I think number 1, books should be mirrors and windows. So the books that we are assigned in our schools should reflect the kind of world we live in, so that we see ourselves in the books, mirrors, and we see each other in the books, windows, right? If you want to become empathetic, you got to put yourself in someone else's shoes. How do you do that? I posit you can do that through reading. One of the changes I would make is to make sure all the books in school are mirrors and windows. Don't just give a girl a book about a girl, or a boy a book about a boy, or a black kid a book about a black kid, or a white kid a book about a white kid, or everybody a book about a white kid. Like, it can't work like that. Give all the books to all the kids so that we can all understand each other better and appreciate each other's experiences. That's the biggest thing I would change in the education system. And then maybe I would do no school on Fridays. Yes!
Each of us have chosen one of the people in the book and have decided why we find that person inspiring. Who would you choose and why?
I would choose my great-great-grandfather, March Corporal, who fought in the Civil War, who fought so that he didn't have to be a slave anymore, who I dedicated The Undefeated to. This is for the unforgettable, the swift and sweet ones who hurdled history and opened a world of possible. The ones who survived America by any means necessary, and the ones who didn't.
We spend a lot of time in school discussing empathy and looking at situations from the perspective of others. In your book, The Undefeated, who do you feel that you particularly empathized with and why?
I would probably say I empathize with the unspeakable. I empathize with the unspeakable. I empathize with the unspeakable. With the people who no longer have a voice, who can no longer speak for themselves. That's why I wrote this, so that I could lift up their voices. I think we all have a responsibility. It's important to be empathetic, but once you're empathetic, once you know, once you feel what someone else could be feeling, here's the trick, here's the real work. Then you have a responsibility to act on that, to lift up your voice for the things and the people that matter.
Which personal stories helped you to write your book and empathize with the characters you choose to include?
I got a bunch of writer friends who are really supportive. My two daughters constantly are encouraging. My family, my professors in college, my first grade teacher was amazing. I've had people along my journey who inspired me and supported me and mentored me. And one of my favorite poets who I keep returning to, I never got a chance to meet because he died a year before I was born. His name was Langston Hughes. But through his words, I find comfort. And when I discovered this particular poem, I recite it like once or twice a week, and it just keeps me going. And I'll end with it. It goes like this. I've been scarred and battered. My hopes the wind done scattered. Snow has frizzed me. Sun has baked me. I think between them, they done tried to make me stop laughing, stop loving, stop living. But I don't care. I'm still here. I'm still here. And that's the beauty of it. We're still here, people. We have much work to do, but we're still here.
Thank you very much for taking your time to talk to us today. You've really helped us to consider the importance of empathy in your work and also how we can use it in our life.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Happy Empathy Day. Be kind.
Paul Jenkins, Project Manager with EmpathyLab, again to introduce the next stage of our ACT part of Empathy Day Live today. And we're going to be looking in a moment at some work that our Welsh schools in Swansea have been doing with Eloise Williams, the Welsh Children's Laureate. Now, developing more pro-social attitudes is a key part, as I said earlier. And with a grant from the Postcode Lottery, we've been looking this year at loneliness. And the schools that you're about to see have been working in depth with their local libraries and key partners on helping to stop people being lonely within their community. They've been looking at empathy-rich text around the theme of loneliness, particularly around the themes of older people, refugees, and homelessness. Now, their work has included writing poems, making bookmarks, sending postcards to people, and joining virtual sessions through our partners at Swansea Libraries as well. It hasn't been easy during lockdown, but they are finding ever more innovative ways to make connections with their community. So I'm now going to hand you over to the Welsh Laureate, Eloise Williams, and pupils from Wynwen Primary School, Brynhiffrey Primary School and Pembrokeshire Hafford School, which was our first ever secondary education programme delivery school. Now, what you're about to see is something just a little tiny bit different to a regular author visit, as instead of the children asking Eloise questions, Eloise will be turning the tables and questioning them about their work to do with the Loneliness Project. We hope you enjoy.
I'm Jessie May.
And I'm Lewis, and we're from Pembrokeshire Harvard Comprehensive School.
I'm Ethan, and I'm Mohammed, and we're from Wynwen Primary School.
I'm Leah.
I'm Rio, and we're from Brynhiffrey Primary School.
And we'd love to welcome the Welsh Children's Laureate, Eloise Williams.
Hi, everybody. It is lovely to meet you, Eloise. Could you tell us about yourself?
Yes, absolutely. It's lovely to meet you all too. My name's Eloise Williams and I am an author and also the Children's Laureate for Wales, which means I talk to lots of young people about reading and writing and stories and encourage them to read and tell their own stories. So can you tell me a little bit about the Loneliness Project that you've been doing in Swansea? And I think we'll go to Lewis and Jessie May first.
At Pembrokeshire Harvard, we've set up something called our Loneliness Lab. So and in there, we read lots of empathy books and we do loads to implement empathy in the school.
Yes, trying to make a big awareness to all the students in school and in our area what empathy is and how they can show their empathy skills and be the light in someone's life.
Yes.
That sounds absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for that brilliant answer. I think we'll go over to Ethan and Mohammed next, if that's okay. What have you been up to?
So before COVID, we were allowed to go down to the nursing home near our school, and every week we used to make stuff for the nursing home, and we go to visit them. Year 6 before lockdown, we went in the garden of the nursing home and we sung Christmas songs for them because they got no visitors, and we sent Christmas cards and Easter cards for them.
Oh, that's absolutely lovely. That sounds brilliant. I like the singing bit as well. I love a good song.
We also sent them missing you postcards from nursery and reception and year 1 and year 2.
Oh, that's so lovely. They wrote messages. Fantastic. Good work. Rio and Leah. Sorry. So what have you been up to?
We made these bookmarks and their characters and about how they can be empathetic.
Wow, they're beautiful. Can you hold them right towards the camera so we can see them properly? Oh, they're gorgeous. Lovely.
We have also been making bookmarks in Pembrokeshire Harvard School. Ginger from the book Stone Cold. I made it that you could be able to open it up and have like different facts on what empathy is, who Ginger was in the book, and also some links to EmpathyLab and advice on how to be empathetic and show empathy.
I'm just wondering, all of you, if you've been reading any books that have helped you to develop your empathy, and if you have, what they are. Oh, we're holding them up to the camera. Brilliant. Let's go over to Brynhiffrey then. Rio and Leah, what have you been reading?
Lubna and the Pebble.
And what's that story about?
It's an extraordinary story about this little girl called Lubna. She is a refugee. She left her country. She met this boy called Ima, and they become best friends because her only friend was a pebble. and she had to leave her country because she found a new life for herself. So she gave the pebble to Emma for like a thank you of being my friend.
Oh, that sounds like a gorgeous story. So what kind of emotions did you feel when you were reading that story?
I was very sad because I'm a refugee as well, so I know how that feels.
Oh, so you could empathise with those feelings. Fantastic. Would you all like to do as empathy resolutions to try to improve things? So let's go to Wine Wen first, and maybe Mohammed, if you could answer first, that'd be great.
So an empathy resolution is like when you begin a year and you promise yourself to do something, and at the end of the year you tick it.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a New Year's resolution, isn't it? Brilliant explanation there. And what do you think you're going to do as an empathy resolution, May?
Yes, with my resolution, it sort of always goes back to homelessness. I want to, with the school, make more money and awareness for Matt's house and Matthew's cafe, so then they can help provide more things for homeless people, so they're not left on the streets without any help at all.
That's great. Thank you so much.
My dad has a friend, and his friend has a son, and this son feels always lonely because he sits on a wheelchair. So whenever we go outside, I push his chair for him. He likes basketball, so I always show him basketball players who play on wheelchairs to make him feel better.
That's a brilliant thing to do. What an excellent idea.
My empathy resolution is not to allow anyone to be sad and alone, but I've already started that resolution. For example, there was a boy walking to school and he was quite sad. Then I called him over to walk with me, and then all of a sudden he became happy, and so that basically has completed one part of my empathy resolution.
That's brilliant, Lewis, and that's kind of like my empathy resolution as well, because when I moved to West Wales, where I live now, I didn't have any friends and I didn't know anybody, and I was very lonely. But I was also kind of embarrassed to tell people I was lonely. So what I'm going to do is keep an eye out for people who might be lonely and make sure that they've got a friend in me. So it's kind of like yours, Lewis. Oh yes, we've got a hand up in Bryn Hyfryd there from Rio.
Our empathy group has made a poem as well.
Oh, fantastic. Can you read it for us? We'd love to hear it.
I am lonely. I've lost my home. I'm in a strange new place that doesn't feel like home. My head is full in an empty place. No one to share my worries with. Feel like I'm lost in a desert, left out at a party. Never lost in a never-ending maze, stranded at sea, stuck at the top of a mountain with no way to get down, locked in a dark box, boundaries holding me back. Sounds like crows cackling around me. Are they talking about me? I don't know what to do.
Oh, I've got shivers all up my arms from that poem. The crows cackling around them and the people talking. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, everybody, for your brilliant input to that conversation. It was fantastic to talk to you all today and know that you are doing such amazing work in your communities. You should be really, really proud of yourselves. Give yourselves a pat on the back. And I hope I'll get to speak to you all soon. Lovely to chat to you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.